Smash Bros. Ultimate has a large variety of Echo Fighters, characters who are basically just a copy of another fighter with slight differences. Or, you know, no differences at all, Daisy. These Echo Fighters serve to give some extra representation to characters who wouldn't have made the cut otherwise. And while some people see them as a waste of a character slot, I don't think the choice was between Echoes or new characters. I think, realistically, the choice was between Echoes or nothing. Regardless, a common trend among these Echo Fighters is that their differences are usually intuitive and easy to understand. Take Marth and Lucina, for instance. Where Marth's sword has a tipper mechanic that does more damage and knockback when landing the tip of the sword, Lucina's blade does equal damage and knockback throughout. As you can see, the difference is intuitive and easy to understand. But there is one massive exception to this generally applicable rule: Samus and Dark Samus. We're 7 years into Smash Ultimate's lifecycle, and the differences around these two Samuses, Samus-I, are still unclear. There are even some people who don't know the two are different at all. Today I'll be making a quick and efficient guide to these two characters, with their differences broken up into two easy categories: characteristics and animations. Let's go ahead and begin in order of importance, starting with characteristics. There's a common belief that Dark Samus may be floatier than Samus, but that's a misconception brought about by animation differences, which we'll cover later. Looking at the actual stats, stuff like gravity is basically identical, with situational changes being negligible. That being said, the two of them do have fundamental differences in characteristics. The first one involves their moves, particularly the ones where Samus has flame effects, like forward air, up smash, and down tilt. For Dark Samus, these moves are not flame-based, but electric-based. This has a few consequences. First one being bombs, where Samus's attacks will detonate bombs with flames, but Dark Samus's does not because it's electric. The other consequence is the Olimar matchup. With Samus, red Pikmin are immune to her fire attacks, and with Dark Samus, yellow Pikmin are immune to the electric attacks. The other characteristic is kind of an animation thing, but it's a consistent motif across the character's design, so I'm listing it as a characteristic. That being Dark Samus's aversion to Morph Ball, which impacts rolling and jumping. When Samus double jumps and rolls, she goes into her Morph Ball, which makes her an incredibly small target. Dark Samus, alternatively, does not use Morph Ball for either. This makes Dark Samus a bigger target than Samus, but there is an advantage, because Dark Samus's rolls are 3 frames faster because of it. This is a trade-off where most people favor Samus, and it's the primary reason most people these days opt for her over Dark Samus, because she can get juggled harder and hit easier because of the lack of Morph Ball. But just because that's debatably the most important difference between the two, it's not the only one. So let's move into our next category. Samus and Dark Samus are animated very differently, and there are a lot of minute little changes as a result of it. Most of them are so minuscule, they never come up in normal gameplay. For a good example of that, let's take a look at forward smash. If you didn't know, you can angle forward smash up or down, or just have it unangled. Because of Dark Samus's different animations, unangled forward smash has slightly less range than Samus's. But Dark Samus's up and down angled forward smash have more range than Samus's. Cherry on top, Dark Samus takes longer to lean backwards than Samus does out of forward smash, meaning that Samus's is slightly safer. But the problem is that these differences are so little, you'll never notice it in a real game. It's completely negligible. To save time in this video, and save space in your brains, I will mostly be ignoring differences like these, which ultimately will not matter in real games. But here's a quick little lightning round of the ones I think are somewhat important that you might want to know about. Dark Samus's standing sprite is a little bit farther back, because she lifts one of her legs up, leading to her avoiding certain attacks that Samus cannot, mostly down tilts. Dark Samus is standing taller when she shields, and as a result her shield is slightly bigger than Samus's. And while that sounds like a good thing, the shield is also higher up, so it means that she ends up getting shield poked by low moves like down tilts easier than Samus does. Dark Samus's forward throw kills slightly earlier than Samus's. And when I mean slightly, I really mean slightly. Dark Samus's up smash connects easier against grounded opponents, important for a move infamous for consistency issues. When Dark Samus lands after up B, she bounces, which Samus does not do. This can lead to some punishes missing on Dark Samus when they otherwise would have hit on normal Samus. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, firing a super missile in the air takes way longer for Dark Samus, a 21 frame difference, meaning that you might SD if you're used to Samus's aerial super missile frame data. And that handles most of the minutia of the animation differences. But there are actually two moves where the differing animations lead to a big change, a difference you may actually notice in real games. This is the one area where Dark Samus actually has a clear advantage over Samus, the two moves being Dash Attack and Charge Shot. First of all, Dash Attack sees Dark Samus lean way more into it than Samus does, meaning that Dark Samus's version of the attack is safer and overall slightly better. Charge Shot is impacted much more because of Dark Samus's one-handed animation for charging and firing, which leads to Dark Samus's Charge Shot being slightly lower than Samus's. On the stage, this means that smaller characters are slightly easier to hit on the ground with charge shots, and jumpy characters are slightly easier to hit in the air with normal Samus. But if you ask me, I think this difference matters much more on the ledge rather than the stage. If you didn't know, a fully charged neutral special will hit certain characters during their ledge hang. And it's different for each character because everyone has a different ledge hang animation. Because Dark Samus's is slightly lower, that charge shot hits more characters on the ledge than Samus's does. For reference sake, here are the characters who get hit by both Samus's charge shots: Bowser Jr., Lucas, Ness, Jigglypuff, maybe Pikachu, but this one was really hard to hit, Olimar, maybe Duck Hunt, but again, really hard to land, Pichu, and Ivysaur. And here are the characters who only get hit by Dark Samus's charge shot on ledge hang. Definitely Pikachu, definitely Duck Hunt, Mario, Dr. Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Young Link, Falco, Mewtwo, Meta Knight, Isabelle, Wii Fit Trainer, Villager, Lucario, and Donkey Kong. So this change can marginally improve your ledge trapping against these characters. So now that we've gone over all the differences, what exactly does it all mean? Is there an obvious choice between the two characters? Well, in broad strokes, I think all these differences boil down to three big factors. 1. Elemental differences. Fire type attacks versus electric type attacks. 2. Lower charge shot, which affects ledge trapping and fighting smaller characters. And 3. Lack of Morph Ball on Dark Samus's double jump and rolls. Many people in the community pick Samus over Dark Samus because of number 3 specifically. And while I think that's probably the right choice, I think Dark Samus is useful in particular matchups. If you think detonating bombs is a problem for you, you might want to go Dark Samus into Link to avoid detonating those bombs. I also think Dark Samus may be better against smaller characters because of the lower charge shot and up smash connecting easier against them. So that's it. Go ahead and use this information to your advantage. Oh, but it seems like I did forget to mention one key difference between the two characters involving Dark Samus. Dark Samus is cooler.